All right, welcome to my first backtesting session. So, a little information about myself. My name is Lucas Flores, and I'm a multimillionaire day trader. I'm worth well over nine figures, not in physicality, but in mentality. That is right, I am going to be the world's best day trader. Mark my words. Saying it now. And today is going to be a bit of a process and what I do every single day to become the world's best day trader. So, little backstory. I was trading order flow, but I reached my breaking point with order flow. It was stupid. I couldn't make it work. I'll admit that was a failure. I couldn't make it work. I was jumping in and out of trades, very impulsive, very emotional, and I don't think that trading style fit my personality. So I dropped it. And then I started studying ICT with the 2022 mentorship. That's where I began. And I realized that I spent 2 grand to learn order flow and a bunch of retail ideas that are just complete bullshit. And now I'm looking at those retail ideas and things that I used to trade and doing the opposite. Literally, it's crazy. And so ever since then, I've fallen in love with ICT and I'm addicted to this shit. Literally, this is what I do all day, every day. I just sit behind my screen and backtest. That's all I do. So I thought, why not start recording my backtesting sessions and just post it on YouTube? Because I've been posting every day on Instagram, but I stopped doing that because I'm just studying ICT before I trade live again. I would post live trade recaps, but I'm not trading live, I'm just backtesting, so I really have nothing to post. So I thought, why not record my backtesting sessions? So here we go. This is going to be the start of a series. I don't know what I'm going to name it, but when I do name it, it'll be in the title. And that's basically it. I guess I start now. I don't know. Okay, so for this session, I'm going to be intentional because you should be intentional with everything that you do. You should know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So here's my intentions for this session right here. So objectives. So this is basically what I'm working on right now. I'm working on understanding the weekly power of three and how price expands throughout the week. How basically looking at the accumulation, manipulation, and distribution on a weekly basis. And then I also want to understand how the news profile delivers that weekly PO3 because certain days have high impact news events. And on those days, that's when we're going to see our distribution days. Those are going to be our high probability distribution days. And then on days where there's no news events, those are days that we could possibly anticipate accumulation or manipulation. So focusing on the weekly PO3 and then also trying to understand the daily PO3 as well. Just marking out the true day open and studying what price does underneath it. And then I'm also working on framing the logic around these expansion moves and thinking in terms of narrative, thinking in terms of where is smart money entering into the market and framing the logic around why things happen. Because trading ICT, you don't trade for pattern's sake. There has to be logic and narrative behind it. You have to know why things are happening. You can't just trade patterns. If you're just trading patterns, then you're essentially a retail trader. We're not retail traders. Okay. And I'm still trying to figure out my New York morning session trade model. So I just started trading ICT. I've been studying it for a little over a month now, and I've yet to figure out what my trade model is. So I'm doing back testing before I even consider live trading again. I want to master my model through back testing before I start live trading again because I don't want to just go into the market and burn money. So still figuring that out. And then I have a general idea of what my trade model is going to be. So here's the outline of that. So obviously, if I'm trading the daily range, because that's what I want to do, I'm going to buy below the midnight open and sell above the midnight open. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Daily power of three, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. I want to buy below midnight or sell above midnight. And then I'm also looking for an SMT to confirm a reversal. And then once I see that, I'm also looking for a run on an important level of liquidity. It has to be a higher time frame level of liquidity. What I've noticed through back testing is that it can't be a small time frame level of liquidity. It can't be a 3-minute swing low. It's got to be at an important level of liquidity, a higher time frame point of interest, such as the session highs and lows, or a 15-minute swing point. It's got to run an important level of liquidity. I'm not looking for a smaller time frame area. And then, so after I see an SMT, a run on an important level of liquidity, then I look for my entry model. And there's so many different ways you can take your entry using ICT. For me, the one that I am most familiar with is the 2022 model. So that's most likely what I'll be looking for. But I also educated myself on breaker blocks and things like that. The unicorn model or whatever, where it's just a breaker block and a fair value gap. So I'll also be looking for those things. And sometimes you don't even need to see a shift in market structure. You can just get an FVG entry if you see an SMT, because SMT is powerful, SMT is key, SMT is everything. That's what I've been taught. So, and obviously it has to occur during my kill zone. And my kill zone is going to be from 9:30 to 11 o'clock a.m. 9:30 to 11 a.m. New York time. That is my New York morning kill zone. And then I've also been introduced to the idea of macros, which I haven't really studied myself yet, but I'm looking for my setups to occur during these macros, which are going to be from in between the hourly candle changes. I'm not sure. I gotta learn more about that. Don't really know much about that. But it's between these time periods. These time periods. I don't know. Don't really know much about it. I'll try to be mindful of it. Probably not. I don't really care. I'm just trying to figure out my trade model. Okay, so those are the objectives. Now I would begin backtesting. So I'm looking at both ES and NQ because SMT is key. SMT is a big part of the trade model that I'm trying to build. So that's why I'm looking at both charts. And I need to start on the weekly chart. Here we go. So what is going on the weekly chart? Let's frame some narrative around the weekly chart. What has price done recently? So we can see that in the past 2 weeks, what has price done? So we ran these equal highs on a weekly chart. So we ran out buy side liquidity. We tested this imbalance right here. Okay. Let's see, this week failed to displace the previous week's high, and then we get a down close candle, and now price is gravitating lower very aggressively, expanding lower very aggressively. So I can assume that smart money is net short up here once we ran these equal highs. Okay. And where are they targeting? Well, they're going to want to distribute their short positions underneath an old low, which could potentially be this old low, which is a swing point, key swing point on the daily chart. And we also have other imbalances on the daily chart. So obviously price is heading lower. Now if I found the equilibrium of this range, what would that be? Okay, so yeah, we could potentially gravitate towards this old low. That might be what I see on this weekly candle, but last week's expansion was very large. Usually when I see large expansion like this, the following candle is consolidation. Doesn't really do much, so who knows. But basically on the daily chart, what do we have on the daily chart? And probably looks a bit messy, or can't really read what's going on because I'm still trying to figure out what my annotation style is. For these larger imbalance zones on higher time frame charts, I like to use lines. So I don't know. But anyways, last Friday we have this large range expansion. So Monday we could potentially anticipate some consolidation, and that will probably be our accumulation for the weekly power of 3. But if my weekly objective is down here, what do I want to see? I have to look at the news profile as well, which I don't have up. Let me get that. Okay. Yeah, back testing until I'm profitable. I was getting some ideas there. Where is it? Right here. So let's see, what week are we back testing? August 29th, 2022. This week right here. Okay, so we got to look at the news profile and see when could this occur. So Monday, not much going on. Okay, Monday will probably be accumulation. If we know that the high or low of the week usually forms on a Tuesday, then we have to look at the news profile and see how is that going to play out. So there isn't much news on Monday, so we can expect accumulation. It's the first day of the week. We don't really know what price wants to do, so I'm not necessarily interested in trading it. Monday is probably going to be accumulation. Tuesday, I would want it to be my manipulation. We have red folders at 10 a.m. And then Wednesday and Thursday are going to be my high probability distribution days. Oh, and this week is NFP Friday. Okay, well, great. So what I know from the 2022 mentorship is that on NFP Friday week, the market tends to lose its precision from beginning on Thursday and potentially Friday. Sometimes NFP is good, sometimes it's not, but I won't even be actually placing any trades. I just want to practice literally just hindsight backtesting these moves and framing the logic and narrative behind it before I actually even start placing trades. Because what I've found in the past is that when I did try to place trades without having an actual trade model, it's very frustrating because it never works out, never plays out, and then I just get pissed off, and then I don't want to backtest anymore. So I'm not doing that. I'm just hindsight backtesting, looking at the moves, framing logic around it, seeing where I would get in, where I would get out, things like that, and building my exact trade model before I start doing stuff like actually placing trades through backtesting. Okay, here we go. Actually, I'm gonna move the news profile over here. Okay, that's better. I don't even know how long this video is gonna be. Usually it takes me like an hour to run through a week, so I don't know. Anyways, no news on Monday, probably going to be accumulation. Tuesday, red folder, I want to see manipulation. If my bias is bearish on the week, then I want to see manipulation on Tuesday that manipulates Monday's high and then begins the distribution lower. Okay. Hourly. All right, New York session. Why is this at 9 a.m.? Get out of here. Oh, look, I already framed the week. Nice. Perfect. Okay, now we got to study what is going on throughout the Asia and London session. Okay, Asia session, we formed the low day. London session runs that Asia high. I got the weekly open marked out. So thinking in terms of the weekly PO3, if I'm bearish on the week, I want to see a move above the weekly open, then form the high day, then show a key SMT, something like that, and then confirm the reversal and distribution lower. So I can't really tell much going on. Yeah, this is very messy. Okay. So as we anticipated, Monday is probably going to be accumulation. No news. London low. So just mark out important levels of liquidity and just study what price does around them. And that is how I've been getting a lot of clarity recently. Asia low. Asia high. And what is this? Is this a daily imbalance? It is a daily imbalance. Okay. Not that. This. Okay. Mark these levels out. Yeah, this shit takes a while. And it's probably boring to watch, but I said, fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I don't really care what happens. I hope the audio is good too. That would suck if it wasn't. So there's a lot of equal lows right here, and the London low. So notice how price has not taken the London low yet. London high. Okay. Midnight open. Where? Right here. Okay, midnight open. What did we do in the London session? We ran the Asia high. Buy side liquidity taken. Retracement lower. Leaving a lot of equal lows. So there's a pool of sell side liquidity under this low. This could be utilized at the 8:30 open if we see manipulation move lower and then trade higher, taking out the London high and trading back into these imbalances here because I know these are higher time frame imbalances like that. So that is what we could see, but it's Monday. I don't expect anything really. I'm just hindsight back testing, so just studying what price does. Okay, 8:30. What do we see? Okay, 9:15. 9:30 open, displacement higher. Let's see. Do we have an SMT that confirmed? Okay. Now this 9:30, the 9:30 equities open is our only inducement of volatility. So it could either be distribution or manipulation. In this case, it looks like it might be manipulation. Reaching into higher time frame imbalances. And this is probably a day that I wouldn't even trade at all. If I was going to trade it, I'd be scalping. I wouldn't look to trade the daily range because it's Monday. I don't expect high probability distribution on a Monday. So basically exactly what we anticipated. Accumulation on Monday. So that's exactly what we want to see. This whole thing is an accumulation range. Now, Tuesday is going to be very key in determining where the directional bias is for the week, depending on if we manipulate the higher low of Monday. That's what I've noticed through back testing. So, is it even worth going through this day? Probably not, because it's just accumulation. This price action is very choppy and messy. There we go. There's our consolidation candle. Didn't do shit. Look on the hourly. Didn't do shit. Okay, cool. We have an SMT here relative to these highs. Mark that out. See how price reacts. To this 10 o'clock high and the 1 o'clock high. There's an SMT. So SMT is the start and end of every move, from what I've learned. And what we usually see is first a directional SMT, which is an SMT on the higher time frame. Then if you go to a lower time frame, you get your momentum SMT, where you get an SMT on the lower time frame. And that SMT on the lower time frame after the directional SMT confirms the expansion move. Okay. So we have a higher time frame SMT. What does price do next? That did not confirm any move whatsoever. I accidentally fast forward through all of Tuesday. So cool. That was an accident. But now we go back through and frame the logic and the narrative through behind it. Is there an SMT at these highs? Let's see. Yep, there is. If we zoom in, we can see that on a higher time frame, and this marks the high day, there's an SMT relative to the 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock high. So we have our higher time frame SMT. Now if we go to lower time frame and find our momentum SMT, that would mark the beginning of the expansion move lower. So first things first, we got our SMT, and that's going to confirm the reversal of this right here. So it looks like this week might be bearish. Why is this week probably going to be bearish? Because look what we're seeing. So we anticipated an accumulation range on Monday. We got that. Price didn't do anything. Not even trading that shit. Okay? Now if we're bearish on the week and we're thinking in terms of the weekly power of 3, what do we want to see? We want to see Monday's high manipulated above the weekly open. And then we want to see price begin to distribute lower. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. And you can also see that we disrespect this daily imbalance. We didn't close outside of it, but if we mark out consequent encroachment, we probably disrespect that. So, I mean, this is exactly what I expected at the beginning of the week. Now, Wednesday and Thursday, I want them to be my high probability distribution days. Wednesday has a red folder, Thursday has a red folder. So if I'm bearish on the week, I now want to see distribution lower on Wednesday and Thursday. Okay. Going down to the 50-minute time frame. Let's see what happened. And I think this is literally just a classic daily PO3, classic sell day, I think they call it. I don't know. Still learning my ST terminology. Okay, what do we see? Monday's range, accumulation. Let's mark the previous day high, important level of liquidity. You can also mark the previous day low. Go to the daily candle for that. Previous day low. PDL. Mark it here. So PDL, PDH. So the previous day high can be used to frame our reversal, and the previous day low can be used to frame our draw on liquidity. Not only that, we have this imbalance resting below. So strong draw on liquidity. We're also digging into this order block right here. I'll mark that out right here. Let's see, if price were to take the mean threshold of this order block, then I would expect continuation, probably disrespect this imbalance, and then trade lower to this old low. If we look at the 15-minute time frame, what do we get? A perfect reversal at the previous day high. There we go. Look at that. Let me go back up to the hourly. So there we go. We can frame our reversal off the previous day high, and then we can expect a draw to the previous day low. And if you're trading the London session, that is a fat ass trade. That is a fat ass trade. And I want to trade the London session, but I'm located in Central Time. So I'm not really willing to wake up overnight to trade that shit. And okay. But it doesn't even matter because there's perfect confirmation exactly what I want to see during the New York session. All right, what do we see? So not only are we manipulating Monday's entire range, this is an accumulation range. Thinking in terms of higher time frame, power of 3 for the weekly candle. This is all accumulation. This is our manipulation. This is our distribution lower. But if we look on in terms of the daily power of 3, we have the same damn thing. We have an Asia accumulation range. We have London manipulation. London trades higher, runs the previous day high. Okay. Then we begin to see some displacement lower, and then we get our SMT to confirm the reversal and start the expansion move lower relative to that 415 high. There we go. So when I'm approaching the New York session and I already see that London has manipulated the Asia accumulation range, then I need to think about how I'm going to position in on this move, especially when it's displacing lower like this. And if we think about, go back up to the hourly, what's going on here? So we displaced outside of the previous day range, right? Displaced outside of the previous day's range, and then we displaced back into it. So that tells me that my draw on liquidity is lower. If we displaced, retraced, and then continued higher, that tells me my draw of liquidity is higher, but we didn't. So analyzing what happened in the London session, SMT, displacement lower, shift in market structure with displacement, imbalance. Come to New York, how can I position on this move? Well, first of all, look what we see. SMT, right? relative to the 845 and 930 high. So if I see a large run overnight, which kind of do have a large run, a lot of activity overnight, then I'm thinking I might have to go to SMT to set up the next leg at 9:30. So this SMT is also occurring at an element of time. That makes it very high probability. But is there a way for me to position on this move? I have to see. Going down to a 5-minute. And look what we see. We see a little accumulation phase. Look at this. There's a red folder at 10. It's all the way down here. But basically, look what we see. What do we have? Another accumulation phase. Then 9:30 open initially trades higher, manipulates this accumulation range high, runs buy side liquidity, trades into an imbalance, a higher time frame imbalance. And then we get displacement lower. And we have an SMT as well. So let's go to the 1 minute, see if I can get an entry here. This is my hindsight back testing. Until I figure out exactly what the fuck I'm looking for. Until then, hindsight. Okay. So on the 1 minute, the accumulation phase becomes a little more clear. We can see that we run all these short-term highs. If we look on a 15 minutes, is this a swing? This is a swing, isn't it? So at the 9:30 open, we run the first swing high left of 9:30, which is what you want to see. That's what the 2022 model says. So here's our SMT. Here's our SMT. $9.30 candle. What about the 9:33 candle? And then I guess you could say this is a momentum SMT right here. The 9:33 candle pokes above this high right here. Does not on ES. So there's our SMT. Run this accumulation range high, and then we begin to displace lower. So since our manipulation has already occurred in the London session, it's already ran the Asian session and ran the previous day high, it ran out an important level of liquidity, showed our SMT. I'm now looking for some way to position in on this move in the New York session. And this is it right here. We have a 2022 entry model right here. We displace this low. There's a fair value gap. Look how the bodies respect this fair value gap. Like that. Bodies respect it pretty well. Is there a breaker block? What is the breaker block again? Let me think. It would be a high, a low, a higher high, and a lower low. So maybe a high, a low, a higher high, and a lower low. So maybe this up close candle. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Still learning breaker blocks. But here's our last down close candle before the change in the state of delivery that ran the short-term highs. So I think it would be this right here, but it's not really clean, is it? But if we look, price digs up right into it, rejects it. I'm gonna go to the 3 minutes, see if it's cleaner. And it's not. But we do have this imbalance that you could position in on the 3 minute chart. Okay, and that's essentially it. And then where could I target? Gotta think about that. So, well, I could target these Asia lows. So there's a lot of equal lows left right here. We have yet to run the Asia lows, so that could be my draw on liquidity. I could target that. Target there. I could target a draw towards the previous day low, so I could probably take partials The easiest lowest hanging fruit would be these equal lows right here, the London lows. So we didn't run the Asia lows, we didn't run the London lows. And then look at this crazy displacement low, where it just runs everything. Also takes the previous day low. So this can be my draw on liquidity. I can also target the mean threshold of this imbalance, daily imbalance. Where would I get my entry on ES? I don't know. Not really worried about it. I'm only focused. I only want to focus on trading NQ, but sometimes ES does present the cleaner setup. All right. Going back up to the hourly. This time I won't skip the entire day. So what are we doing? We're running the previous day low. We're tapping into the order block in a higher time frame. Let's go to the New York session. Here's our retracement. We're retracing back into these imbalances left yesterday. Let's mark the midnight open. Go up to the daily. Okay, now this is where bias is going to get hard. Bias is still something that I struggle with for sure. We're respecting this FVG. We ran consequent encroachment here, but this is an order block. And there's another imbalance here. That's already disrespected. Never mind. Ignore that. And we're trading deep inside Tuesday's range. There's a red floor at 815. Honestly, wouldn't know what to expect from today. I'm gonna be real. I have no idea. No other way to put it. But let's think about what we're doing. So here's this imbalance right here. We rebalance this entire imbalance completely. I'm gonna mark this one out. SIBI. There's our SIBI. I'll mark this one. There's also some imbalances down here. Looks like we're respecting this imbalance. Okay, let's go to lower time frame and study what is. Well, first let's look for an SMC, because that's really what's going to confirm what direction price is headed in today's session. I might even miss something. So approaching 8:30, looks like we might have an SMC forming right here. Don't see anything. All right. Mark your important levels of liquidity. Would I consider this the Asia low? I have no idea. Or would I mark this candle low? I have no idea. I think I'll just mark this one. Okay. Just mark that. I'm gonna just mark this sell side because looks like we ran the Asia low. London, there was equal lows. We ran that as well. And now we're trading higher. This is below the midnight open too. So as of now, this is not looking bearish. Mark this. outside liquidity. We have equal highs running the London high. We don't see ES take the London high. So we have an SMT. There's equal highs just above this as well. All right. Think, Lucas. SMT. SMT. NQ is trading above the midnight open. ES is not. Okay, let's see what happens. So to the right of 830, what do? We start trading higher. Do we manipulate the Asia lows? We did. There's accumulation range right here. To be honest, I have no fucking idea. Okay, 930 open, displacement lower. So we have an SMT here and an SMT here. Okay, now it's kind of looking bearish to me. At 930, if this is true displacement lower and this is an algorithmic hunt on buy side liquidity left of the 930 equities open or a manipulation move higher, then this day does have the potential to be bearish. But what could this also be? This could also be seeking sell side liquidity to then trade higher below the midnight open, which is why it's so important to have directional bias. And that's something that I struggle with. So I'll just have to work on that. But it doesn't matter. I'll get it down. There we go. Let's study if this day distributes higher or lower. Okay, looks like we're distributing lower. So this is why I'm not live trading. For this exact reason. And it looks like this day's range didn't really offer much anyways. Now we got to think in terms of narrative. What is happening? Okay. Mark this. PDL. Yesterday's range was a large expansion range. So it is reasonable to assume some sort of consolidation the following session. It's kind of what we got. But the real move of the day was lower in alignment with the weekly bias, right? Because what did we do on Tuesday? Well, on Tuesday, we manipulated Monday's high. Monday was an accumulation range. Tuesday manipulated Monday's high and then began to distribute lower. So that means on Wednesday and Thursday, I want to continue to look for distribution lower in the direction of my weekly objective. Okay, now how does that happen today? How did that happen today? How did we distribute lower? All right. We can see in this area right here, there is kind of a large area of equal lows. We have an accumulation range right here. We have yet to run these equal lows down here. So that would give the market a reason to reach back down into this area in alignment with the weekly bias. We can see that the Asia low is never ran. So what can we anticipate to happen? We can anticipate a run on the London high to then reverse lower and run the Asia low. We have this high formed overnight. Initially, the market trades lower below the midnight open. This was an important high, obviously, buy side liquidity. We formed these equal highs on ES, so that kind of gave a reason for the market to reach up back in there. So If I'm bearish, I'm looking for a sell scenario above the midnight open. And that happened here. And thinking about my checklist, I need to see a run on an important level of liquidity. And we did that. There was a shallow run on the London high here, another shallow run. So this is engineering the idea of resistance, retail resistance. So retail is going to see this strong level of resistance. This is something that I used to trade and want to go short off of that. So this is engineering a pool of buy-side liquidity, and we also have this high resting above here. So if I'm bearish for the day, I'm looking for a run on an important level of liquidity paired with an SMT, and then I want to see my entry model lower. And then here's what I usually see occur throughout the daily profile. If the day is bullish, beginning at 8:30, we will see an algorithmic hunt on sell-side liquidity, meaning right from 8:30, the market will start trading lower, run some important level of liquidity, sell-side liquidity, and then trade higher, then distribute higher. But if we're bearish, right at 8:30, we'll see a move higher, run an important level of buy-side liquidity, and then distribute lower. And that's what we see here. What do we see right at 8:30? Price begins to trade higher, runs an important level of buy-side liquidity, and then distributes lower. And what do we see? SMT. SMT. Shit. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. So that's exactly what we get. But I'm trying to figure out, why did the market reach back up into this area? Well, we do have this pool of buy-side liquidity engineered. We see these shallow runs on the London high. And if you think about what we saw at the 9:30 open, what did price do first? First, it ran this short-term low. So that is a short-term discount. So then it could reprice back up into a premium, run this high, and then set up the real move of the day. So trying to think in terms of narrative. All right, let's go to a 5-minute. Let's see. 9:30 open. Trades lower, runs a short-term low, trades higher. This is our fake move. This is the fake move right here. And we run this short-term high as well. And this is when NQ runs that high a day, but ES does not. So that's an SMT. And that would be my short confirmation targeting what? The Asia low first. And then I could target these other pools of sell-side liquidity. We have large displacement lower, an imbalance, trades back up into that, distributes lower. And then look, here's where that strong idea of resistance is formed, engineering liquidity, right? We ran that. Breakout traders try to get long. So this forms buy-side liquidity in the form of retail buy order flow. Whoever's buying this breakout long. Okay. So what I've also learned through backtesting is no SMT, no trade. I have to wait for an SMT to confirm my reversal. And that is how I know. That gives me a good measure of time, I guess you could say, because I don't know when the reversal is going to occur. But if I see an SMT, it's more likely it's going to occur. So if price runs at a level of liquidity like it did here, but there's no SMT, oh shit. SMT. And that also ran an important level of liquidity. So this is where, does this occur during a macro? Yes, it does. What are the macro times? Let me see. 45 to 15 and 50 to 15. When this does occur, 50 to 15. 50 to 15. This macro is running. We get distribution move lower. Above the midnight open. Above the weekly open. SMT at the highs. Where's my entry? Here we have large displacement, shift in market structure, trade back into that, can put my stop at the swing, and I can get short, targeting the Asia lows. Oh shit. Where are the Asia lows at? Let's see. Or I can target this low right here. What the fuck? Oh. For 99 handles or a 2R. And then what I wanted to do is take partials and then save a contract to ride out the daily range if I know that I'm in alignment with the weekly bias, which I would do here, and that would give me about 150 handles on NQ. So identifying the trade model. What is it? So I think what I need to wait for is this an obvious higher time frame SMT to really confirm that reversal. And then I can look for the lower time frame SMT as well. Once I get that higher time frame SMT. Because this is obvious. I mean, look, we're running this high, we're not running this high. And what does that start? This expansion move lower. So there we go. Back to a daily. So what are we doing? We're disrespecting this fair value gap. We took the mean threshold of this order block for sure. Then I'm just expecting more distribution lower in the direction of my weekly bias until we get to this old low. So let's see what happens. We have an inside day as well. Not on ES, but on NQ. Yes, I can definitely see price gravitating towards this old low. So this is Thursday now, the day before NFP Friday. Let's go to New York session. So it appears that we have accumulation overnight. We don't necessarily see a manipulation or a displacement move. We do right here. Red folder at 10 a.m. September 1st. Okay. Mark the midnight open. Here we go. We have these imbalances. Order block. Imbalance. Imbalance. I'll mark out this higher one. Price is reaching up into that. Here's that old low on a daily chart. So we're anticipating expansion to this old low by the end of the week. Okay, and if today is a retracement, then I definitely expect continuation lower on Friday, NFP Friday. So does it look like today's going to be a retracement? Let's see. Nah, I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing more distribution lower. I view this as a really large accumulation phase. Here's our manipulation. And then we see distribution lower. But we did run the Asia low. Did we form an SMT? We did form an SMT. Shit. So this confirms this reversal down here. Where's SMT? It's down there. Yep, there's an SMT. Is this the previous day low? Oh shit. What happened after the close? Hold on. Wow. Study what price is done. frame what could happen intraday. We have this Asia high as well. Poke through here, retrace. Did I say Asia high? I meant London high. London puts in the low a day. Okay. If I want to trade in the direction of my weekly bias, then I guess I have to be bearish today. But seeing what happened during the London session doesn't necessarily make me bearish. Or it doesn't look like I should be bearish. Because what did we do below the midnight open? We ran the Asia low. We put in the low day. And we formed an SMT off that low. And now we're displacing higher. Now we're running the Asia and London high. This is where shit gets like so confusing. I don't know what to think sometimes. And this is why I'm not live trading once again. Okay, there's no high back news event at 8:30. And price is moving lower, so this tells me that it's probably seeking sell side liquidity so that I can run an old low and then displace higher. We might see an SMT at this low right here because it doesn't look like NQ is anywhere close to it. So ES pokes below it. If this stays bullish, then we would now see displacement higher. We definitely want to see displacement higher at the 9:30 equities open. Or maybe 9:30's equity open will bring a deeper retracement. And then displacement higher, okay? So right now this is looking like a classic buy day. Where we have Asia accumulation, London manipulation, displacement higher. Come New York, we get a retracement. Is this OTE? It's probably OTE. It's OTE. And then the 9:30 equities open initially manipulates lower, runs these equal lows, and now we're seeing displacement higher. So is there a distribution higher throughout the rest of the session? And I was just absolutely fucking wrong. Wow. And that's why I'm not live trading. And this is why you submit to your bias. Oh, never mind. I don't fucking know. This is when shit gets discouraging. Because you think something's going to happen, and then price does the fucking opposite. And this happens to me just about every day that I look at. And that right there is called the learning curve. S&T at the lows. Nice. During the lunch hour. Nice. Not something I could trade at all. But we did see this distribution move lower in the New York morning session. S&T at these lows. Relative to 11 o'clock and 12:15. Okay. 145. I think I also need to understand the daily profile. What could happen throughout the week or throughout the day. Because look what we see here. This price delivered to that. Oh, shit. That's why we got that retracement. Damn, I didn't even see that. Okay, so my weekly objective is hit. Price delivered to my weekly objective. And that is when we get this huge reversal. But there probably is some setup in here that would allow me to target my weekly objective. And this is looking like a classic bearish day. If we just take this out, we have this large accumulation phase. What do we see out of it? We see a move up, manipulation, then a move down. Judas swing, distribution. So there you go. And then maybe if I see an SMT underneath this old low, then I can get long off of that. Targeting what? High day maybe? Something? I don't know. That might be taking it too far. But is there an SMT to confirm this distribution move? Yes. 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 Five-minute. Wait for that 9:30 open. There's definitely a setup on a 1 minute or lower time frame. SMT. Okay. What do? We ran the London high. I'll take it to the opposite end of the range. Run the London low. There we go. Above, selling above the midnight open. Targeting my weekly objective. That's probably a lot of handles. SMT. SMT. Smart money tool. Technique. Timing. This price action is fucking gross. Two-minute. I mean, I see entries on the 1 minute, but it's just so wicky and messy. Okay, or I could do this. Here's a clean 2022 model entry on the 2-minute time frame. Market structure shift, imbalance. Gets short in this imbalance. It's probably also OTE. It's OTE. Respects OTE to the tick. Same entry on ES. ES already delivered to that old low though. This came pretty close to it. Now, if you think about it, that leaves very, very little room for this trade to play out. And I don't even think the risk to reward is worth it. Two R. Risking 40 handles though, that's pretty crazy. I don't think I could even risk that much. So I don't like it. High, low, higher, high, lower, low. Breaker block. Just kidding, I have no idea. Imbalance. Shift in market structure. Stop at the swing. Targeting my weekly objective. That's a little better. And I would really want to look for this after I see this SMT occur, so. Three R. 28 handles of risk, that's a little better. After I see the SMT. SMT is key. Oh wow. Look at that. So Thursday's a retracement. We reached the weekly objective though, so if I'm already profitable by Thursday, meaning I probably would have caught a distribution move here. Maybe one here, maybe Tuesday, not Monday, and then not trading Friday again. Because Friday is number one, NFP Friday. And number two, I've already got some profits on the table, so I'm done for the week. I'm good. But this is how price reacts to that old low. So there's the weekly objective. So I got my weekly bias correct. That's good. So I was bearish until we got to this old low. And the weekly power of 3 played out just as I outlined before I started backtesting. I said I'd want to see accumulation Monday because there's no data on Monday. And I want to see a manipulation of Monday's high on Tuesday. And then I want to see distribution lower. Okay. Okay. And then boom, here's NFP Friday. We get retracement back into the range, don't we? So what do we see? Usually before large news events, we see a broader accumulation range throughout the Asia and London range. And then when that news comes out, what does it do? It initially trades lower, runs those sell stops, and then trades higher, displaces higher. That's basically what we get. Let it play out. All right, we're gonna yellow along. Ready? No, I'm just kidding. Wait till high is in. Okay, high is in. Let's get OTE. All right, here's my long position right here. Boom. Stop under the low. Targeting yonder. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh no. Okay. Let it play out. Holy shit. That's fucking crazy. Look what this damn thing did. What the fuck? Let's see, what marks this reversal? SMT? Maybe? It's always those higher time frame SMTs that just absolutely send price. Okay. So what can we see? So if you think about it, this entire move right here is probably manipulation to get a bunch of buy order flow, engineer that buy side liquidity, and then just dump. Oh, wait, no, that's next week. So there's a lot of news. There was unemployment rate and NFP. I don't know if those always go on the same day, but that's what happened. I'm not going to spend too much time on this day because it's NFP, so I don't really care. I don't trade these days. Right now, I don't. Maybe in the future, once I am the best fucking trader ever. And this SMT probably possibly could have been a confirmation to take that long off. So I think that's going to be it for this backtesting session. So that was my first backtesting session. Kind of said, fuck it. I'm just going to get on here and make a video. And that's what I did. And I'm not going to edit it in any kind of way. I'm just going to throw it on there because I really don't care. And I don't want to spend my time editing a video. I'd rather spend my time backtesting. So this will be my first video in the series or whatever I name it. I don't know what I'm going to name it. And I'll make another video tomorrow and the day after that, and after that, after that. So I'll probably do this every single day until I am the world's best day trader. And I'm making millions and millions of dollars, and the market is my ATM machine. But until then, backtest, backtest, backtest. And then I'll probably start posting live trading recaps and whatnot too. I don't know. I'll post everything on here. So that's it. Post another video tomorrow. And yeah.